Come along as we reunite with some of your favorite melon growers here in Green River, Utah.
My earliest recollection of Green River was in 1942. Moved here from Salt Lake. Dad worked on the railroad. This was during the war years, of course, and within a year or two he was raising a few melons. My dad was, Homer Nelson, and he would service the steam engines as they came and stopped in town. And he parked his old pickup truck alongside the railroad track. And as he put the coal and water in the engines and greased them, he had me stand on the back of the pickup and throw cantaloupes up into the troop trains. It wasn't big enough to throw a watermelon. They wouldn't let the troops off the train anyway. They'd throw a quarter or a dime or a 50-cent piece out on the ground, and I'd pick up the pieces, and that's my earliest recollection.
He had an old Green International with a stock bed on it, and we'd fill that thing up till you couldn't put any more on top. They'd roll off, and that's the only time it was full, and he'd take off the price. And see that truckload of melons, and people would follow him. He went to a little hamburger stand out there. I have to ask Jackie if she knows what the name of it is. It's not there anymore, but anyway, people would watch that truck roll through Price, and as soon as he pulled up, why, he had business right there, man. They was unloading them, and he was handing them out and slicing them, and people loved it. Come and get it, come and get it. People would see that truck, people would follow him through town in Price.
He thoroughly enjoyed visiting with people and having them taste the melons. He enjoyed having his wallet open and showing them out how many dollars he'd collected that day in his wallet. And he had a big heart, just like the watermelons, I guess, because he was always willing to help hand out melons and make sure people enjoyed what he could accomplish with growing a melon.
People knew him. I mean, people looked for him. In fact, 20 years after he was gone, I still had people coming up and saying, "Hey, these Homer's melons?" Well, yeah, kind of. But people knew him all over, up in Uinta Basin and Salt Lake, and he told me not a few years before he'd passed away. He says, he says, "Randy," he says, "I'm finally doing what I want." He says, "I'm farming full time." He says, "I'm not polishing somebody else's apple anymore." He says, I'm doing my own job. And he loved it.
Randy and I, after Dad's passing, decided we didn't care too much for road siding. And so Randy liked to drive big trucks, and we started hauling semi-loads in our refrigerated van. And so we went wholesale rather than road siding, and that got to be quite a job too. The 1 year or 2 years actually, that I remember the most, we had another farm besides this one, and we got hit with hail right at the beginning of the season, 2 years in a row, and wiped us out. So after that it got a little discouraging, and in time, Randy decided he liked other things a little better than heavy farming, and so we dissolved our partnership and went our ways. This was all river bottom at one time or another. The river shifted from that hillside out there back to where it is now and deposited the land that we're now farming. And that must have been quite some time ago. One thing we have here is water in the Green River. And we always pray for rain and snow in Wyoming. Keep the river going. But we don't care much for rain here because it's not good for the melons.
It's fun to watch them sprout. When I was planting seeds in the field, I'm out there on my hands and knees and I'm digging up seeds to see how it's coming along, and you see it starting to sprout. And I'd tell Jackie, man, they're coming up, they're coming up. and from that point on, you're just nourishing them, you're taking care of them, watering them, doing everything, hoeing, and it's to me it's satisfying to watch them grow. To take a field like you got right here, and when the melons are just, they start to run, and you can see those runners sticking up, and every day you can see a difference in the vines. Every day I watch them grow, even today. To me it's a lot of fun. I hope there's some farmers that can keep it up. I look around at families that are still doing it, and I'm hoping they got some young folks that are still interested in it. I'd like to go do it myself if I had a place to do it, and a little more get up and go.
It's been a good life here. I enjoy being this far from anybody.
This has been a good place to grow up myself, and Jackie and I to raise our family, and we're still here, and that's where we're going to stay.
We've stayed. We enjoy it. I don't plan on leaving except in a pine box.
Until next time, from Green River, Utah.